A Supreme Court decision dropped that can change what happens at your front door. And it was 9-0, meaning every justice agreed with each other. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed? Because what I'm about to explain could keep you from losing your guns for months. It could also keep you from talking yourself into trouble during a welfare check. Hit subscribe right now so you don't miss the next surprise ruling. Here's the big claim you've seen everywhere. This ruling changes the Second and Fourth Amendment forever. That sounds dramatic, but there's a real reason people are fired up. This case is about police entering a home. It is about taking firearms. And it is about a legal excuse some courts were starting to accept. The case is called Caniglia versus Strom, and it started the way real life starts. Not like a movie, just a bad argument, scary comment, and a phone call for help. Edward Caniglia argued with his wife at home. During that argument, he put a handgun on the table. He said something like, "Shoot me and get it over with." His wife did not take it as a joke. She left the house and stayed elsewhere. The next morning, she tried to call him. No answer. That's when she called the police to request a welfare check. A welfare check is when police come to see if someone is okay. Most people think it is not a legal thing, like it's just a friendly visit. But the truth is, it can become a search, it can become a seizure, and it can become a report that follows you. Officers showed up and found Caniglia on the porch. They talked with him. He denied being suicidal, but the officers believed he might be a danger to himself or others. They called an ambulance for a mental health evaluation. Now here's where the story turns. Caniglia agreed to go to the hospital, but he said he only agreed if they would not take his guns. He left for the evaluation, and while he was gone, officers went into his home. They took 2 handguns. No judge signed off, no warrant. Let me explain that word fast. A warrant is a piece of paper signed by a judge. It gives police permission to search or seize things. Without it, entering a home is usually not allowed, so Caniglia sued. He said, "You entered my house and took my firearms without a warrant." That is a Fourth Amendment claim. The Fourth Amendment is the part of the Constitution that protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. Search means looking for things. Seizure means taking things or taking control of you. At first, the lower court sided with police, and they did it using a phrase that should make every gun owner pay attention. They called it community caretaking. In plain English, community caretaking means police do more than just arrest people. They also help with non-crime stuff. They handle crashed cars. They check on missing people. They help with accidents and emergencies. That sounds normal. And it is normal. But the crazy part is how some courts were using it. They were using it like a free pass into homes, like, we are helping, so we can enter. That is the exact danger the Supreme Court stopped here. The Supreme Court took the case, and the court ruled 9-0. They said you cannot use community caretaking as a standalone excuse to enter a home without a warrant. That one sentence is bigger than it sounds. Because if caretaking worked as a home entry excuse, it could be used in thousands of situations. Noise complaints, wellness checks, arguments, anonymous calls, angry neighbors, misunderstandings. You can probably think of 5 situations in your own life where someone could call in concern. Now, here's the part nobody tells you. This was not a Second Amendment case on paper. It was a Fourth Amendment case. But in real life, the Fourth Amendment is often the doorway to the Second Amendment. If the government can enter your home more easily, it can find and take guns more easily. And if guns can be taken more easily, your rights get weaker in practice, even if the Second Amendment words never change. That's why this ruling feels like it hits both amendments at once. Now let's break down what the Supreme Court actually did, in a way you can use. First, the court drew a hard line between cars and homes. Police have more room to search cars in certain situations. Cars are out in public. Cars move fast. Cars get stopped and towed. That has created special rules over time. But your home is different. Your home is where Fourth Amendment protection is strongest. The court called the home the core protected place. In simple terms, your house gets the highest privacy protection. Second, the court said helping is not a magic word. Police can do civic tasks, yes, but that does not give them unlimited power. The court refused to give police an open-ended license to enter homes. Third, the court did something subtle that matters a lot. It forced everyone to use the normal rules again. That means if police want to enter your home, the question becomes one of these. Did you consent? Meaning, did you give permission? Did they have a warrant? Was there a real emergency? Meaning someone was in immediate danger? This is a huge difference from we were caretaking, so it's fine. And here is the warning. Many people hear this and think, so police can't come in for welfare checks anymore. That is not what it means. It means police cannot claim a brand new home exception just because they say caretaking. But real emergency rules still exist. Consent still exists. Warrants still exist. You need to hear that clearly, because overconfidence is how good people get burned. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you all learn in my next video about the 5 words that protect you when police ask about your gun. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because that one sentence can change the whole interaction. Now let's talk about what this means for you in a real-world way. Imagine this hypothetical example to explain this. It's 11:30 at night. You're stressed. You text a friend something dark, or you say something dumb during an argument. Maybe you slam a door. Maybe you say, "I'm done with everything." You didn't mean it the way it sounded, but your friend panics and calls police. 2 officers show up and say, "We're here for a welfare check." At that moment, your choices matter. Most people think the safest move is to be super cooperative. They think, if I let them in, they'll leave faster. Sometimes that works, but sometimes it backfires, because the moment you invite police inside, you may have given consent. And consent can turn a welfare check into a full home contact. From there, anything in plain view can become an issue. On the other hand, if you keep the conversation at the door, you reduce the chance of a search. That does not mean you have to be rude. It means you can control the setting. And here's the part that stings. Even if you did nothing criminal, guns can become the focus. Officers can see firearms and assume risk. They can call supervisors. They can secure guns for safety. Then you're stuck asking, when do I get them back? That is why Caniglia matters so much. Before this ruling, some courts were flirting with the idea that police could enter the home and take guns during these safeties calls without a warrant. The Supreme Court shut down that broad rule. But you still need to understand the next layer, because police can still argue other legal paths. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. And let's talk about the emergency idea in plain English. People call it exigent circumstances. That is a fancy phrase. It basically means we can't wait because someone might get hurt right now. Examples are things like a person screaming for help inside, a visible injury, a fire, a person threatening someone with a weapon in the moment. If police have a true emergency, they can sometimes enter without a warrant. The Supreme Court did not erase that. So the fight after Caniglia often becomes this: was there really an emergency, or was it just concern? And that is where facts matter. What did the caller say? What did the officers see? How long did it take? What was the risk right then? Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. A welfare check can feel like help, but it can also be a shortcut. Not always, not everywhere, but it can happen. If you are a gun owner, you need to understand how easily concern turns into danger, and how easily danger turns into we need to secure firearms. And that's before we even talk about red flag laws. Red flag laws are also called extreme risk protection orders in some places. These laws let certain people ask a court for an order to temporarily remove someone's firearms. They usually involve a judge and paperwork, even if it happens fast. Caniglia did not decide red flag laws. It did not bless them or ban them. But it matters because it reminds courts that homes are special and entries are serious. That kind of thinking can affect how future cases get argued. Now, let me give you the so what in a way that hits home. If police can enter your house without a warrant using a broad caretaking excuse, then any of these could spiral. A family argument, a depressed teen comment, a friend misreading a text, a neighbor hearing a loud noise, a medical call, a social media post taken the wrong way. You see the pattern. It is not always criminals. It is often normal people in messy moments. Caniglia says you don't lose your home protections just because police say they're helping. That is a big win for everyone, including gun owners. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the community of gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe because the next case could hit your state directly. Now let's get even more practical. I'm going to walk you through 3 situations you might face and how this ruling changes the conversation. Situation 1 is the welfare check at your home. If police show up and ask to come inside, you should understand what they are really asking. They are asking for consent. You can be polite and still protect your rights. You can step outside and close the door behind you. You can ask what the call was about. You can ask if you are being detained. You can say you are okay. If officers have no warrant and there's no emergency. Caniglia supports the idea that caretaking alone is not enough to enter. But do not play lawyer on the porch. Do not argue case names. Keep your tone calm. If things feel serious, your best move is to stop talking and get legal help. Situation 2 is when police are called because someone says you are a danger. This is where many gun owners get blindsided. You might think, if I don't threaten anyone, I'm safe. But the system does not always wait for a crime. People call when they are worried. Officers respond. And then they decide how to label the situation. If it's framed as a mental health emergency, officers may try to act quickly. They may separate people. They may ask about guns. They may ask to secure firearms. Caniglia does not say police can never do that. But it blocks the idea that we are caretaking automatically equals we can enter your house. That forces officers to fit the situation into the normal boxes: consent, warrant, or real emergency. Situation 3 is the temporary seizure problem. This is the trap. A lot of gun owners think, if they take them, I'll just get them back tomorrow. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it becomes weeks. Sometimes it becomes months. Sometimes you have to file paperwork. Sometimes you have to sue. Sometimes your property sits in an evidence room, even though you were never charged. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to make you realistic. Your rights are not only about winning in court. They are about what happens to you in the meantime. Caniglia matters because it stops one broad excuse for taking guns from homes without a warrant. That can reduce the number of easy seizures that happen in gray area calls. Now, I want to address something you might be thinking. What if someone truly is suicidal? Don't police need to act? Yes. If someone is truly in danger, everyone wants them alive. Family, neighbors, officers, you, me, all of us. The point is not to stop emergency help. The point is to stop sloppy rules that let help become search whenever the government wants. A good rule can protect both safety and rights. That is what the court was trying to keep in balance. Now, here's the cliffhanger part. People are cheering the 9-0 vote. But the concurring opinions, the extra writings, are where future fights may be hiding. Some justices basically said, we agree there's no caretaking exception for homes. But they also reminded everyone that emergency aid entries can still be allowed in the right facts. That means your next big question is not only, did they say caretaking? Your next big question is, did they claim emergency? And that is why your words matter. Because the story of what happened gets written down in reports. And those reports can shape whether an entry looks reasonable. That's why I keep saying calm matters. Simple answers matter. Not over-explaining matters. And getting legal help early matters. Now we're going to talk about what you should do, starting today, to protect yourself and your family. First, have a plan for the welfare check scenario. If you live alone, talk to a trusted person. If you have a rough day, text them clearly. If you need help, ask for help clearly. Do not be vague when you are upset. Vague messages create panic calls. Second, if you do have firearms in the home, think about storage. I am not telling you what to buy. I'm saying this. If a situation goes sideways, you want to be able to show you are responsible. Safe storage can lower perceived risk. It can change how officers view the scene. Third, teach your family the difference between help and permission. A spouse, roommate, or teen might invite officers in without understanding what that means. They might think they are being polite. They might think they have to. It's worth one calm family talk. Not a paranoia talk, a simple talk, like, if police come, wake me up. Don't let people inside unless we understand why. Fourth, if you ever face an actual mental health crisis, get help early. This is important, and it's human. The goal is not just protecting rights. The goal is keeping you alive and safe. If you need help, reach out to professionals, family, or trusted friends. Getting ahead of a crisis can prevent the late-night sirens moment. Now, I want to clean up one more misunderstanding. Some people hear this ruling and say, so I can just refuse everything. That's not smart. If officers have a warrant, you do not fight on the porch. You comply and you call a lawyer. If officers have a real emergency, arguing will not help. You can still be calm and protect yourself by not making statements that hurt you later. And if you feel the situation is turning into a legal mess, the safest move is to stop talking. Get counsel. Let your lawyer do the fighting. Now for the big promise and the big warning. The promise is this. The Supreme Court reinforced that your home is special, and the government cannot invent a new excuse to enter it. The warning is this. This does not stop every gun seizure. It does not stop every entry. It does not stop red flag orders. It does not stop emergencies. It simply blocks one broad shortcut that could have grown into something much worse. This is why the headline says, changes forever. It's because the court prevented a bad rule from spreading. But you still have to live smart. You still have to know the difference between consent and command. You still have to know that we're just checking can become we're securing property fast. Here's the urgency style reminder. Court rulings don't expire, but the way your state applies them can shift quickly. New legislative sessions and new policies can hit in 2026, and many agencies update training and procedures over time. Subscribe now, because the next video breaks down what you can say and what you should never say during a welfare check or gun-related police contact. Let's wrap this up. The key takeaway is simple. The Supreme Court unanimously said police cannot enter your home and seize firearms without a warrant just by calling it community caretaking. Your home still has the strongest Fourth Amendment protection. And that matters because home entry is often the doorway to gun seizure. If this video helped you even a little, subscribe. Not because it helps my ego, because it helps you stay ahead of the next surprise headline. Most gun owners hear about these cases late after rumors spread. I want you informed first. Final disclaimer in plain terms. I'm not your lawyer. This is general education, not legal advice. Laws vary by state, and details matter. If you're dealing with a real welfare check, a gun seizure, or a court order issue, talk to a qualified attorney in your area.